Battlefront, one of my favorite childhood games, if not my favorite Star Wars video game series of all time. After hearing DICE was going to make a Battlefront of their own, I was both excited and fearful. Well, it turns out I was more than right to be worried. Month after month, devastating news about the game came to light. No space battles, undrivable AT-ATs, and no Clone Wars. It was all too harrowing to bear. If my friend didn't let me borrow his copy of the game, I probably would have never tried it. Fortunately, after a few days of playing, it didn't turn out to be the abomination I thought it was. The multiplayer is actually a lot of fun, and the walker assault is an absolute historic experience. Though it's not the same Battlefront I grew up with, I can't say it doesn't bring the Star Wars experience to life. There's no doubt that EA and DICE will milk this Space Scout for all it's got, so I put together a list of what must be included in the sequel, or possibly any DLC for the game. Today is the top 5 things needed in the next Battlefront. My fondest memories from the first 2 Battlefronts all include playing split screen with my best friends. Sure, there might be split screen in the new game, but it's completely pointless. You can only use it in battle mode where you're forced to play on separate teams or in survival. I can't believe DICE found it acceptable to have split screen but not have it available in multiplayer. What if you want to bring the game to a party, or what if you have siblings? Do these companies just expect people to have 2 consoles and buy 2 copies of the same game so they can play together? This is why the next Battlefront needs actual split screen. Someone needs to show these corporations that, hey, I live near other humans. I should be able to play with them without needing another console and game. The ship battles and attacks against ground vehicles are the most intense things I've ever seen. My heart rate actually rises when I look up and see a whole other war raging in the sky, which makes it all that more disappointing that there isn't a larger variety of vehicles to choose from. It's also frustrating that you can only obtain said vehicles by finding a coin of them on the battlefield. It would make more sense for them to spawn behind each team's base like in previous games and basically any other video game. And of course, I need to mention having the feature of actually driving the AT-ATs. I can somewhat understand why DICE went with the on-rail system, but it makes the gameplay more predictable. We need more vehicles in the future like the IFTT and the TX-130 fighter tank and the skiffs. Let's quickly look at the quote-unquote single-player features the new Battlefront has to offer. Okay, you have 6 tutorial missions, 6 battle levels, all coin gathering, very unique, and wow, the rest are survival missions. Yep, this game has no story mode unless you consider the cutscenes in the tutorial. As for making your own game with AIs, yep, that's not an option either. This game was 98% made with only multiplayer in mind. Personally, I can't stand multiplayer-only games. It vastly limits any possible story, and that's just not acceptable when you're working with the Star Wars universe. In the first 2 Battlefronts, you could play a mode called Instant Action where you could choose any level with any game mode and just have fun. Here, it's only coin gathering. In the future, Instant Action needs a return and we need an actual story mode. And it's not like Battlefront had a complex campaign, it was just multiplayer levels with slightly modified activities and a backstory. But anything would be better than just coin gathering. Also, Galactic Conquest was an amazing single player mode that wouldn't be too hard to add as well. While we're at it, make it so you can unlock items for the multiplayer while playing the story. Instead of just points to buy guns, you can have it so you can unlock costumes and helmets depending on which difficulty you play. At least this way, both multiplayer and single player fans will be happy.
The famous smuggler has made his final kettle run.
To my surprise, a lot of people didn't mind the Clone Wars not being included in the new game. Now, I know how much the prequel movie sucked, but come on, you're telling me you wouldn't want to play as Jango Fett, Darth Maul, General Grievous, or Count Dooku on iconic maps like Naboo, Genesis, Magneto, Mustafar, Kamino, or Felucia? The first Battlefronts actually made the prequel stories good. Bringing back the Clone Wars could also make for new game modes. How about something like Order 626 where 20 or 30 clone troopers fight against 20 or so Jedis? That'd be freaking intense. Imagine a game type on Geonosis where droids have to defend core ships from clone troopers for a period of time. Vehicles like the Droid Spider AA tanks and countless others could return if the Clone Wars make it into the next game as well. There's so much you can do with the Clone Wars, that's why it needs to be included in the next Battlefront. Probably what disappointed me most about the new Battlefront was the lack of game types from the original games. The 2 game types I was most sad about not seeing were Hunt and Assault. Remember playing Hunt on Hoth with Wampas against Rebels? That was the funnest thing I've ever played in a Star Wars game. How about Endor? Empire vs Ewoks? Gungans vs droids? Genosians vs clone troopers? The list of Star Wars species versus Star Wars species goes on and on. Assault was amazing because it was only Jedi versus Sith Lords. The only thing close to that in the new game forces players to be regular troops while 3 or so players are the heroes. After playing the new ship battles, I find it hard to believe DICE couldn't make a space battle game type. Space battles were near revolutionary. Traveling to the enemy ship to sabotage it or battling through empty space was fun for all types of players. Imagine how it would be on next-gen consoles. So there are my 5 things the next Battlefront definitely needs. If you'd like to suggest a top 5 or top 10, please leave a comment below. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.